Welcome back to the At the Helm podcast. It has been a hot minute, but I'm back at school, so we back. I'll just do a quick recap of my summer. Work, golf, work, vacation to Florida, celebrate 4th of July, work, golf. Now we back. Okay, and for the first episode back after the summer hiatus, I figured another thing I did this summer was I watched a good amount of movies, and I am a big movie fan, and I realized I hadn't really done much. I mean, I did an episode with my friend Payne right before summer in my last one where we talked about the show Invincible, but I'm a big movie fan. I love movies. Just what I spend. Movies and TV shows are just like my entertainment. That's how I get content. That's my kind of content. That's just like what I enjoy. Some people like video games. I like movies. That's my passion. I love watching movies and discussing movies, etc. So I'm gonna go through the movies I saw in theaters, or a new one. There's one that was only on streaming services, but it was a new movie. So I am going to discuss them, give my thoughts, my reviews, and then ended up with my scores out of 10 on 6 new movies I saw over the summer. Starting off with the movie Michael, the biopic on the early story of the King of Pop, Michael Jackson, where I don't watch too many biopics, and I was kind of considering watching this, but then I found out my whole family went and watched it together, the 4 of them, on Mother's Day while I was still at school. So I'm like, oh, wow, they all enjoyed it. Even my siblings aren't big movie. Like, they at least don't go to the movies very often. They do a little bit. They've done it a little bit now with their friends. At least my sister does. But I'm the movie fan. Me and my mom has been taking me to movies for years, especially since I grew up in the age of the superhero films with the MCU and everything. But yeah, like, I go to movies on my own all the time now, or every once in a while I'll have a friend or two tag along, and then I still go to a decent amount with my mom. But yeah, I figured if they liked Michael, I figured I should go check it out, and I was happy I did. Jafar Jackson did a tremendous job. He should get more roles, not just be the nephew of Michael Jackson who played him in a movie, and he did a really good job. I was barely alive. Me and Michael Jackson were barely alive at the same time, but from what I've seen, he got the voice, the movements. I mean, especially the Thriller scene. Like, I've seen like videos where they kind of like go from the movie to the actual footage of Michael Jackson doing it. The Thriller ones, it's hard to tell when it switches because it was just like so perfect. Like, they did such a good job recreating those moments. And yeah, Jafar did a tremendous job. Coleman Domingo did an incredible job as Michael's father, Joseph Jackson. He really was just a very hateable character. Like, you hated Joseph Jackson when you were watching that movie, whether it was just from how he was overworking his sons and making them have to be perfect right on the dot, or when he was beating Michael with the belt. I assume he beat his own sons as well. They just didn't really show that. His other sons as well. Or just like when he was like emotionally manipulating Michael, kind of like to control his career, kind of keep him under his iron fist throughout, even though Michael was too big to stop. And gave a deep impact on just like how I'd heard stuff about like how his father was abusive and controlling, but it was nice to see the actual details of it, like to see how and the kind of character that Joseph Jackson had. And while he definitely is responsible for the Jackson 5, and being successful, and a big reason why Michael Jackson became the big star he was, But like, come on, man. Like, you're just a bad person. I don't care if you made them successful. You didn't do it for them. You did it for you. You did it so that you could be rich and stuff. Not, uh, they also, like, and yeah, I'm not too familiar with Michael Jackson as a human being. I wasn't around when he was at his height, not even during just everything, just the fame, the controversy, everything. I wasn't around at that time. But they, from what I've heard, it is accurate that Michael Jackson in this movie was portrayed as he was always a child in his mind. Like he never truly grew up. Whether and it's shown by him getting all the animals, like the chimp and the snakes, the giraffe, all those different animals, and going to stores to buy toys for himself, and his obsession with Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, and wanting that pointed nose and getting all the plastic surgery and stuff. And didn't discuss it too much, but they did mention his disease that changed the color of his skin a little bit. And I don't know the details if he just kind of changed it so that he had a paler complexion, just that he wasn't spotty or whatever. I've heard that maybe that was the case. Maybe that was just the disease entirely. I don't really know. But yeah, obviously the music's amazing. It's Michael Jackson, and Jafar did a good job. I heard that whenever during the movie there was no like music in the background, whenever it was just like the a cappella moments in the booth, that was him. Did a tremendous job. He, like, if he really wanted to, I'm sure he could make his own music, not necessarily try to mimic his uncle, but just like he could sing. He can sing clearly. Like he did a good job. And then yeah, Michael Jackson has some of the greatest songs of all time. Like yeah, you love Beat It, Bad, Billie Jean, Thriller, etc. Like there's too many to count. Like there's a lot more, but like those are the ones off the top of my head that I really enjoy. One thing I did notice is that while they mentioned Neverland, I guess in reference to the Neverland Ranch, they didn't. They were strategic in ending the movie in the late '80s before all that stuff happened. And I can understand, like the story was about him breaking free from his father. So once he did that, the narrative was closed. Like that was what the point of the movie. That was the arc that Michael was going through in the film. But yeah, like some like biopics, and I understand they don't want to tarnish his legacy at all. They don't want to bring up bad stuff, even if it was all false. Like even if it's all false, which he was never convicted of anything. The FBI looked into it. I know he was never convicted, but there was controversy. There was suspicion at least, and at least there was weird stuff that could have been going on, even if the accusations were all false. They decided to steer clear of it to protect Michael's legacy, which it's a very understandable, but it's just a noteworthy thing that they decided to sidestep that aspect of Michael Jackson's life. And yeah, like this was like, obviously I know who Michael Jackson is. I've listened to his music, some of his songs for years. I knew he was like the biggest music sensation of all time, arguably at least. Like even without the internet during his time, like he's got like billions of views on his songs, even though they're decades old and stuff. What I think Thriller is maybe the most sold album of all time. Still, it's at the very least up there. And I also learned a lot about him during this time period. Like I didn't know he's from Gary, Indiana. That was neat, especially since when that came out, the Bears were still potentially moving there, like instead of Hammond, but Gary was like the one that was rumored. So that was kind of something I noticed when Gary, Indiana popped up. But yeah, I didn't know he was from the Chicagoland area. That was cool, especially for being someone from Illinois. That was neat. I didn't know about the Pepsi commercial accident where the top of his scalp got burned and stuff. Like that's sad. That's like horrific. That's felt really bad for him there, obviously. Like, but you know, that's something I learned. Like that's kind of the neat thing about going to these movies about these celebrities, whether it's about Elvis or uh, Freddie Mercury or Michael Jackson. I'm trying to think of other biopics. There's some I know. I can't think of Elton John, etc. All the others. You learn a little bit more about them than you knew, at least, or at least that are probably true. Maybe didn't go out the same ways. Speaking of the Freddie Mercury one, it was interesting that Mike Myers was the music exec that lost Queen in that film by making stupid decisions. But in this one, in Michael, he was the CBS exec that helped break down the barriers of making Michael Jackson one of the first black artists that were mainstay on MTV. So that was noteworthy. That was cool. Something I would have loved to see more from this movie is a little bit more with his brothers, like just more interaction with them, learning a little bit more about who they were and how their relationships were between the Jackson brothers and all of them. Like, I think that would have been really cool. And I think I heard it was her choice, but like Janet Jackson not being mentioned or shown whatsoever, even though she's probably the second most famous besides Michael in that family. That's interesting. I didn't even know for sure I didn't know that they were brother and sister. I'd heard of Janet Jackson. I never looked it up or anything, but I wasn't surprised. I figured they were related in some case, but Jackson's just such a common name. I wasn't sure. It was very enjoyable to see that even though Michael's father sucked, like there's no way of sugarcoating it, he had a terrible father, at least when it came to what a father-son relationship should be. Like, it's not about making your son successful. It's about just being there for them and loving them like all good fathers should be. So even though Michael's actual father didn't have that kind of relationship with him, it was nice to see that with his bodyguard, driver, Bill Bray, that he did have someone in his life who did care for him in that sense, that was a father figure, that his father was never actually, he was able to be for him. I say that like it was something he couldn't do. He could have, he just didn't. I also enjoyed, it's always cool to see in these movies like how these iconic songs come to be, how these albums are made and stuff. And that's really neat. Like, it's kind of seeing a little bit of like what it's like in the booth for Michael Jackson, especially when he was a kid and he just couldn't help but dance around and all kind of made noise that interfered with the actual singing. But yeah, that's always neat to kind of just see how that process, how their mind works and kind of stuff. And you never know if this kind of thing is actually accurate, but it's kind of nice to think that it's something at least similar, especially considering the people making this a movie were like, I mean, this is his nephew, for crying out loud, that's playing him. Like, obviously, these people are tied to Michael Jackson and stuff. But yeah, I think that covers most of my thoughts on the Jackson movie. I mean, it looked good. Like, there were some pretty cool scenes in there. I would have loved to see a little bit more of his like other relationships. We saw his negative relationship with his father, then his positive relationships with his mother and Bill Bray, but we didn't really. And his Miles Teller, the manager, we also saw that a little bit. But like I said, we didn't see too much of the brothers. We didn't see like any romantic interest. And I don't know what Michael Jackson's romantic life was like at that time, but he's the most famous guy in the world. There was definitely interest, I'm sure. But yeah, like that's something that they could have done more. But focusing on the music is obviously always the right choice with that stuff. But the relationships can kind of make those stars feel a little bit more relatable. But I guess they wanted the childlike nature of Michael Jackson to do that. But yeah, I gave this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. It's probably my favorite biopic that I've ever seen. I haven't seen too many. I still need to watch the Austin Butler Elvis movie. At the very least, regardless of the quality of the movie itself, I know Austin Butler gave a tremendous performance, and I heard Tom Hanks did as well. And they kind of had not exactly the same, but like it's another story, I guess, of a manager trying to take advantage of the star, which I'm sure happens all the time. You know, you hear stuff about like Britney Spears back in the day, how they were controlling her, like the record label drama with Taylor Swift, so that kind of stuff I imagine happens constantly in the music industry and just the world in general. Someone sees someone talented like Hollywood as well, and they just kind of take advantage of them because they're young and stuff. But yeah, 8.5, great movie. Would watch it again, definitely. Just a good film. Then next up, we got the Mandalorian and Grogu, the Star Wars film, the first Star Wars film to come out since the sequel trilogy. So couldn't get worse at the very least. That could not get worse. I think my favorite bit of this movie was the first scenes. Like I loved the opening fights with the stormtroopers and the Imperial. Mando going after the Imperial officers, Grogu helping out a little bit. The scenes with the AT-ATs was really good. Yeah, that was a great action scene to open up the movie, and it unfortunately it was just kind of slower after that, which I guess kind of like they were kind of trying to keep it similar sense with the show in that, you know, you have Din Djarin going on these missions, these little side quests to help accomplish his overall mission like he did throughout the Mandalorian show. But it is different when it's a movie. Like this, people did compare this to, just felt like a few Mandalorian episodes mashed up into one. And unfortunately, they weren't the most amazing of episodes. They had some cool points. I mean, it was really fun to see a Hutt actually able to like move around and fight. Like I'd never seen that before. That was really neat because of just modern CGI. Like obviously you weren't gonna do that and have a big slug doing gladiator style fights in Return of the Jedi in 1983, but we're able to do that now. It looked sick. It was cool to see Jabba's son, which was neat. Like I don't think he'd been in any Star Wars mainstream media since the Clone Wars movie, I want to say, which I've never really seen, but like I know of. It was fun to see Zeb, who I know from Rebels, and I need to catch up on my Disney Star Wars shows. Like I haven't seen Ahsoka and a bunch of others. I've seen The Mandalorian. Obviously, I made sure that I'd seen the whole show before watching this, so I'd already known the main plot of the entire show. I'd seen up to season 2 like last year, and I just didn't want to watch Book of Boba Fett. I think that's what it was, and I felt like I needed to keep watching The Mandalorian. But, yeah. Anyway, it was fun to see Zeb again. Have him and Din Djarin have a kind of partnership, or at least buddies that'll help each other out on missions and stuff for the New Republic, which I would love to see more media of this era post the Empire. And it's just, Disney's just in a tough place right now where are they gonna just make the sequels, just ignore the sequels forever? Because that's what a lot of the fandom wants. But I mean, I don't know if you can do that. And I mean, because Star Wars, I do agree in that Star Wars should feel like an event. Like Star Wars doesn't need to have a million shows and movies and whatever. They need to feel like when a Star Wars movie comes out, oh my God, it's Star Wars. Like the original Star Wars, A New Hope it was new, obviously, the first one. It was the biggest movie ever at the time. Everyone saw it. Empire Strikes Back, it's one of the greatest movies of all time. Return of the Jedi, it gets hated on a little bit. It's still a really good movie that it closes that trilogy done really well. The prequels, even if you don't love the quality, especially of Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, when the prequel trilogy was announced, that was a huge thing. And also, maybe Star Wars fans just hate the new movies. Like, nowadays, the prequels, at least online, are glazed because a lot of people online are people roughly my age who grew up with the prequels, so they're amazing. Maybe in 20 years, the sequels will be looked on as good. Unlikely, but it's possible. Getting back to the actual Mandalorian and Grogu movie, the bounty hunter Embo, which cool design with the kind of disc hat. I haven't watched the entirety of Clone Wars, so I was not familiar with him. Which, even though the design is cool, they didn't really give much quality or explanation of who they were, of who he was in this movie, for those that like weren't familiar with him, because not everyone's seen the Clone Wars. Like, it was a kid's show back then, and when I eventually get into watching the whole thing, those first few seasons are probably gonna be really kiddie and rough to sit through a little bit, even though there will be gems in that and moments that will be really good and high quality. But still, like, a lot of people probably haven't watched the Clone Wars. Some of them watched this movie as well, and we're familiar with him, and they probably didn't do a good enough job of introducing that character to bigger audiences, even though this movie wasn't the biggest financial success. Probably the best thing they did narratively in this movie was they made Grogu, for those who know, aka Baby Yoda, they made Grogu an actual character. He wasn't just a plot device or merchandise merchant sales, like a lot of people complain he is in the show. He clearly was not that here. He had a purpose. He helped out. He saved Mando's life on a couple occasions here, mostly on the Hut planet. A couple times with saving him from the poison, just helping him get out of the pit with the giant sea snake-like monster that the Hutts had instead of a Rancor, because I guess they didn't feel like they could just redo Rancor again. And mentioning the poison that Grogu helped, that part of the movie was kind of slow. Like, in the right setting, I can kind of see myself, if I'm already tired, I can see myself kind of falling asleep, because it's just peaceful music. There's not really a lot of dialogue, or for a few stretches, there's not any, because Grogu can't talk yet, which, if they're going to keep doing Mandalorian stuff, they should probably get Grogu to eventually speak. And it'd be interesting if he spoke like Yoda, or if Yoda's just weird among his people and just speaks that way because he wants to. And I think the explanation George Lucas had, he wanted people to make sure they listened to what he was saying, so they made him talk weird. Watch this, you will. Subscribe, you will. Ring the bell for notifications, you must do. But yeah, me personally, this movie's enjoyable. It's just a little fun thing. It's not the best. It's far from the best Star Wars movie. It's definitely on the lower rankings in terms of, like, if I was gonna watch a Star Wars movie, I would probably watch all of the originals, all the prequels, Rogue One, maybe even Force Awakens over it. Because I personally kind of enjoy Force Awakens. I know people say, oh, it's just a revamp of A New Hope. I mean, so A New Hope is like the most influential movie of all time and a perfect way to start off a saga. It's okay to kind of have similar plot points. Hell, Harry Potter rips off a bit of A New Hope. It's okay. But yeah, my personal preference for what this movie could have been and what they kind of marketed it as, or maybe this was just me. Maybe I'm just kind of forgetting how it was marketed, because this was a little bit a minute ago. I would prefer if the entire movie was just Din Djarin going around and arresting Imperial officers and maybe getting into a big honcho where he has to actually struggle and stuff. I also do hate that they took away all his fun things. Like, dude had the dark saber, for crying out loud. You took that away. You took away the dark saber from the man. Not to mention the Beskar. You could have at least let him keep the Beskar spear, which was awesome. I mean, come on. I really wish he had that stuff. Like, that would have been fun. And yeah, there's always the thinking that maybe The Mandalorian should have ended at season 2 because that was perfect. That was amazing. But obviously, he was such an in-demand character that you couldn't just stop. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention Pedro Pascal. He's great as the Mandalorian character. I understand people say, "Oh, Pedro Pascal's and everything." I get Pedro Pascal fatigue. Guys, he's a good actor. He's gonna get roles, and I mean, I've personally never seen him do bad. Or okay, Wonder Woman 1984. That wasn't great. I don't think that was his fault though. He's a great actor. I mean, Game of Thrones, peak. Mandalorian, amazing. I think he's a great Reed Richards. I thought he portrayed the curse of having that creative a mind really well. Pedro Pascal is just he's a great actor. Jon Favreau is a good director. He's a good creator, and I'm hoping this is a point where the Dave Filoni led Star Wars will continue in a good direction. I don't know what the next projects are. I'm sure Maul Shadow Lord is getting season 2. I don't really know what else is going on. Oh, right. Ahsoka season 3. They just dropped the trailer. Sorry, season 2. They just dropped the trailer for that. So that will be looked forward to. I need to watch Ahsoka. I really do. At the very least, I need to watch it for the Anakin stuff because I've seen that and it looks really good. But yeah, my score for The Mandalorian and Grogu, I gave it a 6.5, maybe 7. Like I can definitely be worked up to a 7. But it's just it's just fine. Like it's not great, it's not bad. Like there's nothing terrible about it. It's mid. Like it's okay. Like it didn't really take very many risks that maybe you would need to do to make it a great movie. But yeah, 6.5. So yeah, it's fine. Next up, we have the second installment in the DCU, at least movie-wise. We have Supergirl, which bombed financially. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because people aren't too connected with the Supergirl character very much. In general, audience-wise, maybe it's because people don't love female-led superhero movies. Even though there are a couple that made over $1 billion, like Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel. But hey, highlights of the Supergirl film. Millie Alcock did a great job in every aspect. The flashback Krypton scenes, the scenes where she's depressed and drunk, the scenes where she's angry about her dog getting poisoned, the scenes where she's fighting, like, and emotional and everything, or the happy scenes at the end. Millie Alcock did a tremendous job. I'm very happy she was cast as this role. I really liked her in House of Dragon season 1. I would have probably preferred if she continued to be Rhaenyra the entire time, honestly, because she was so good. That was the character that I got intrigued in. No disrespect to the older character who carried the role on, but I really liked Millie Alcock in that role. And then you have Jason Momoa, who is perfect as Lobo. He's probably going to end up being one of those castings like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, that are just irreplaceable in that role and are just so perfect for it that it's incredible. And David Cornsweet, his scenes were obviously some of the best in this movie. He's a tremendous Superman. I'm another person I'm very glad was cast in his role. And Millie Alcock and David Cornsweet had good family chemistry, like they're cousins. I can believe it. Superman is just trying to look out for her and everything. And And one thing when I watched this movie, I was intrigued by it because I kind of assumed they were gonna go the route of, maybe it's because I'm only familiar with the show. I don't know what the comics origin really is, but like from what I know, Supergirl, at least in the show, is older than Superman. She was born first. She's like a teenager when Krypton blows up. And she's sent off like right after Clark leaves. But something happens, whether she's just like gets tracked in the fandom zone for a while, or something causes her where she doesn't age, but she arrives on Earth decades after Superman, but she's biologically younger. So it's kind of like she was carbon frozen during the trip, and something happened where she didn't land until well after Superman grows up and is Superman. But this one they did a little bit differently, where she's actually younger. She is actually seemingly as old as she is. She's a little bit younger than Clark, because in this movie they had the Krypton scene where Krypton's blowing up, where it's being destroyed, and Supergirl's father puts a force field around that protects Argo City and has it basically floating off like an island in space, essentially. But you see during that shot where you have Kal-El, Superman's craft, flying away, heading towards Earth. And I don't like that they double down on having Jor-El as someone who sent Clark here to conquer. I don't love that. I think Jor-El, while I've seen like in Smallville, he can be a bit of a complicated character, I think Jor-El is supposed to be this like what they kind of made Zor-El, his brother, Supergirl's father in this movie, hopeful. I'm sending you there to save you, my child. You are the last hope of our planet. You are what we are meant to be, and go help these people. We are sending you to a place where you will have abilities and you will be able to help them, guide them forward, lift them up, be the symbol, be the last son of Krypton, be the hope of the human race. But no, they made Jor-El like a person who sent Clark here to conquer us. I don't like that. I understand they're doing it, I guess, kind of show like how his human parents, Martha and John Kent, are more impactful for him, but still, I mean, like Zor-El here, the Zor-El scenes with Kara on Argo City are tremendous. The scenes with Kara and her mother, the flashbacks on Krypton are great. And learning that Kara met the Crypto, the super dog, when he was a puppy, the day of her mother's funeral, really hits their connection home and makes it seem like, yeah, if she ever were to lose him, he really is her last connection to her home, even though she has Clark. Clark doesn't know Krypton. Like, Clark doesn't know his past, really. But, you know, but that is still someone she can attach to, but she's attached to. But Crypto is that last true connection to her home. That's why him being in danger in this movie was such a big deal for her. The space scenes in this movie were really cool. They were shot pretty cool. I like the scene where Kara powers up with the red sun against the space pirates. The scene, probably my favorite scene in the movie, is when after the Krem and the brigands get away, she's sad. She's realizing she's running out of time to save Crypto, and she's been having to talk about and kind of relive the destruction of Krypton and just all the trauma from her past, where she gets overwhelmed, so she just flies up into space and just screams, where there's no sound because obviously it's in space, and as she flies away, you see the tear from that she just shed as well. Like, that was a very powerful scene, and that was really good. That hit me when I was watching. Like, I really love that scene. Yeah. Into the criticisms of this movie, Krem, just an underwhelming villain. Like Kara should have probably been able to dice him up in 2 seconds. Like once they were on a planet with a yellow sun, that it really shouldn't have been a problem whatsoever. I mean, and I didn't care for the Ruthie character, the girl that's getting vengeance on Krem for killing her family. I mean, I understand the point, like I understand the plot, and from what I hear, the comic version, Woman of Tomorrow, is done a lot better in that sense. But like, she kind of got annoying after a little bit, and I mean, I like maybe it's because we didn't really know her family very well. We got one scene with them, and then towards the end, when it's like when Kara's like convincing her not to kill Krem, not to stab him with the sword, uh, we get some quick flashback scenes with like her father, with her mother, with her brother, with no dialogue or anything, but maybe having those scenes where we get more context of her family and what she truly lost. And obviously losing your family is terrible, and I would probably also seek revenge, but like not having those scenes where we get to truly see the connection, the kind of people her parents and her brother were, hurts just kind of hurts the movie a little bit when you try to connect with that character. But I do kind of also see that because I mean Kara was reluctant until Crypto got poisoned anyway. I mean she kind of helped out that one guy when that one guy tried to steal the sword at the bar, but like, you know, like I guess Ruthie is kind of just supposed to represent, I get Kara in a way, like a young girl who had everything taken from her, and Kara is trying to help prevent her from going down a dark path and saving her innocence by trying to make sure she doesn't kill him, because you know that's killing someone is a burden even if they deserve it. So, which kind of brings me into the point of when I watched it, I was a little confused. When I watched this movie in theaters, I was a little confused about how Kara is pleading with Ruthie the entire movie, do not kill Krem, do not kill Krem. She convinces her not to, has her walk away, hand Kara the sword so that she doesn't change her mind. And then, like, 2 seconds later, she stabs Krem for Crypto, for her dog, and then slices his throat for what he did to Ruthie's family and just all the other bad things he's done. Which kind of sends a double-edged sword of she tells Ruthie not to kill him, and then she kills him, which I guess they were kind of going for I will do it so you don't have to carry the burden of this act kind of thing, which I guess they're also trying to like kind of separate her from her cousin a little bit. Like Superman would not have done that. Superman is very courteous. He's the Boy Scout. He's Superman, for crying out loud. Not to say Superman will never kill a villain in the DCU, but he'd be much less inclined to. I mean, he didn't kill Lex or anything. But overall, I think this movie was necessary to kind of continue Kara's arc. They introduced her at the end of Superman as drunk, going to Red Sun Planet so she can kind of just nub the feelings of her grief from Krypton by getting drunk. And then at the end of this movie, she's kind of moving on from that. She's starting to deal with the loss of Krypton, and Ruthie helped her just kind of like get connected again with another person. So she's going to start allowing herself to feel that connection, start building a home on Earth to be around her people and stuff, and make her a true hero in the future. And I'm looking forward to seeing her again in Man of Tomorrow, which I looked up. She's officially in it, where it'll be cool, especially if they reveal any background with Brainiac and Krypton, which there is in a lot of Superman media, that Brainiac is somewhat involved with just Krypton in general, or even the destruction of Krypton. So that'll be cool to see those scenes where you have Clark, Kara, and Lex, I guess, is going to be helping out defeat Brainiac. But score for this movie, 7. Like, it was good. It should have made more money. Like, it should, like, it's not, it bombed at the box office, but it's not a terrible movie. Like, it's fine. It's good. It probably wouldn't be my choice for the second movie in the DCU arc. I probably would have done Batman. Like, if I were running DC, I probably would have my first projects be a Superman movie, then maybe a Batman movie, then maybe a Flash movie, a Wonder Woman movie, a Green Lantern movie, then do a Justice League where maybe I've also introduced an Aquaman at some point. Maybe I had a second Superman movie in there where I helped introduce another Justice League character like Aquaman or Martian Manhunter. And it seems like they're maybe introducing Martian Manhunter and the Green Lantern series going on right now. So that should be interesting. But yeah, James Gunn has a vision. Hopefully it goes well. At the very least, the Superman movie was really good. And the quality of the shows so far have been decent. But we'll see how the future of the DCU goes. I hope it does well. I hope they bring in Batman here pretty soon. I hope they bring in Wonder Woman soon, The Flash, etc. If they can have Grant Gustin play The Flash, that'd be awesome. But yeah, we'll see. Moving on. Now we get into the really good ones. Here we go. Next up, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Oh, man. I tell you, when this movie got announced, oh, wow, I was so happy because if you know me, I love Greek mythology, big Percy Jackson fan. That was one of my, once I got into that around 3rd grade, I really liked it. Whenever we did a Greek mythology unit in my school, I was pumped for it. Yeah, so yeah, obviously I was looking forward to that big time. And Christopher Nolan is probably my favorite director of all time. Like the Dark Knight trilogy, Interstellar, Inception, Oppenheimer are peak movies that in my top 10 all time, there's probably 3 Christopher Nolan movies in there at least. So yeah, this was one I was really looking forward to. And the cast was stacked and they delivered, whether it was Matt Damon as Odysseus, Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Robert Pattinson as Antinous. Like they all did a great job. My MVP for this movie is Anne Hathaway. She did so good in all of her scenes, whether it was with Odysseus, whether it was with Telemachus. She did so good. Her emotional scenes were like the flashback with Odysseus before he leaves and him telling Penelope to move on, and she's refusing. She slaps him because she refuses to because she loves him that much. And I mean, yeah, like it's just so good. Her "I want Odysseus" lines, like her scenes with Tom were good. Her reunion scenes with Odysseus were so good. Like Anne Hathaway should at least get nominated for an Oscar for this performance. And then obviously Matt Damon did a tremendous job as Odysseus. The siren scene where he's just like crying out and the music in the background was so good. That's like that's the scene for Matt Damon that sticks out for me at least. Obviously the rest he did also did a great job because he's Matt Damon. Also, I am never going on a trip with Matt Damon because we will get stuck and I will die. He will live and get back home somehow. It happens almost every time he's in a movie, whether it's on the ocean or in space. The end of the Trojan War scenes were really cool. The scenes with the Trojan horse being brought, the sack of Troy opening the gates. Agamemnon had like peak aura when those gates are opened, where he's just standing there all menacingly, and you never got a good look at his face. Maybe it's because I don't know, they just didn't feel like the actor playing him had the face that kind of went along with the aura he seemed to have in this film. But even though he did get murdered by his wife. But yeah, Agamemnon scenes were really sweet. Like, I really loved the character. Even in the underworld, you have Odysseus and all of his men kneeling before him because he is their king, even though he's not a good person. Like, the man sacrifice his daughter for strong winds to get to Troy. Like, dude is not a good person, but has great aura. The Cyclops scene was it's tough, but that's probably my favorite sequence of the movie because, like, when you think of the Odyssey, that is kind of because that's the first one. That's kind of what starts the whole thing. Odysseus goes to this island and is stopped and captured by this Cyclops, this giant beast with one eye, the son of Poseidon, that starts the chain reaction of all these problems for him, with him losing all of his men. Eventually, obviously, he didn't lose them all to the Cyclops, but like I think the Cyclops scenes are also explicitly why this movie was rated R, because they say the F word once. There's no sexual scenes, like you don't see any nudity in it. Like I kind of thought there maybe was about to be when they had the scene where Odysseus and Penelope where Odysseus is about to leave and then they start making out. Like I thought that was about to be nudity scenes there, but there wasn't. They cut away right after they started making out. So no, but it was just the violence it was clearly just the violence, like watching a person get eaten like a chicken tender, as like just getting their head by the giant Cyclops. And I do like how they made the Cyclops' voice when he screamed in agony after his eye was stabbed, or whenever he did the little speaking as well afterwards. Whether you couldn't really make it out what it was, they made it sound like the crew was paranoid and that he was asking Poseidon to curse these people, which is what happens in the story, the original Greek myth. But yeah, the scream when that eye got stabbed was so loud. Like the movie had a good volume in general, but that was one of the few times in a theater where I felt like I almost had to cover my ears because it was just so booming loud. And I really do enjoy this stuff part of the movie, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was more true to the myth, with the trick of Odysseus saying, "I am nobody" to the Cyclops, which makes the Cyclops, when he stabs him and he tries to tell the other Cyclops that when they ask who did this, he says nobody did it. But they're like, nobody did it. What the heck? You did this to yourself? Are you stupid, Polyphemus? Like, I think that would have been I think that would have been cool. But I did the design of the Cyclops was cool. Kind of have a human eye just like twisted at the center, and then the nose also sideways, like a monstrosity a Cyclops, I guess, should be. And then, but yeah, they also did a bit of a switch because I think in the myth, in Odysseus, after escaping the Cyclops, says his name, which then precedes Poseidon to be able to target him and make the rest of his journey terrible. Yeah, but yeah, in the movie, they changed it so that when they were about to escape, Odysseus, I guess, he threw the armor or whatever of one of the men that Polyphemus had killed in the process. So Odysseus shot him, which unfortunately did make him lose 2 more men. But then the story continued. You have the Laestrygonian scene. They lost a lot of men there. They lost 2 ships. That had some cool scenery in it. Then you have the Circe's Island, where Christopher Nolan went in an interesting direction in that scene where he could have easily just had the camera cut away and just kind of show shadows of the men transforming into pigs directly after eating. But no, the food that was obviously spelled or whatever, cursed, just kind of allows Cersei to mold the men into pigs by like extending their jaw, molding their face to a pig, and then eventually into pigs. Like it was disturbing. Like it was really disturbing, but a very cool and interesting direction. I enjoyed the Scylla and Charybdis scene where it's the whirlpool Charybdis, or where you will all die, or go next to the cliffs of Scylla where 6 of you will die. I thought that was real cool. I will say though, I kind of prefer the way that they handled it in the Percy Jackson TV show. Granted, that was like the best part of season 2, that and all the Percy Best stuff, but they did it well. Maybe it's because wasn't at night, and maybe the Charybdis whirlpool was. Maybe it's because they chose Charybdis. Like Charybdis is the more exciting aspect than Scylla, where just a monster comes down and eats 6 of you with its 6 heads. And oh, my mom jumped at that part. I knew it was coming. Like I'd seen Percy Jackson, I knew what was coming with Scylla. Not exactly. Obviously, the design's always a little bit different because different creative styles. Yeah, I've talked about Matt Damon and Anne Hathaway's performance. Robert Pattinson did a great job as the cowardly nobleman, who was also very stupid. Whether it was just like how he treated Telemachus, always trying to rile him up and allow him to give them an excuse to kill him. Just the way he just spoke down on everybody. He was trying to connive and manipulate Penelope into picking him to make him king. He said, "Oh yes, of course Telemachus would be king unless we have a son." It's just saying he's gonna kill Telemachus no matter what. And then when they had people sent to kill Telemachus, he's like, "Bring me his ears so I recognize him." You can recognize him by his ears. Bring me his nose as well. You're not gonna recognize Tom Holland by his ears and nose, you idiot. And then just him being a coward during the fight with Odysseus at the end, just saying, "Grab the spear, grab the sword, grab the shield," while hiding behind a pillar the entire time. And then eventually Odysseus, just when he kills him, that was sweet. Tom Holland also did a great job. Like his scenes were good. The feast is done. That was good. His reunion with when he realizes Matt Damon is his father. When he realizes that is Odysseus because of the dog, which who doesn't love dogs? I mean, like that was a great scene. And then Nolan is really good at things leading up, like in Inception, the spinning top constantly, or the knocks at the bookshelf in Interstellar. He's great at foreshadowing to the big moments. And when you see scenes of Odysseus with his bow, whether it was in this hunting when he would always strum it to warn it, or just whenever he would string his bow and strum it, just kind of show, and before he would shoot it between the axes, so that when it all led up to the moment where he's still disguised as the beggar, and then he's able to string the bow, and then the music leading up to it when he strums it, and Penelope turns, realizing it is him, and then he shoots through the 12 axes, and it's like, "You're Odysseus." Like that leading up to that was awesome. Christopher Nolan is so good at that. They also did a good way of, after the big fight where Odysseus kills all the suitors, but he's obviously injured. Like you're not going to get out of that unscathed. They made you think he was dying. Like they made a good job thinking he was speaking of dying at the end there. But then no, he lived. He was just banished for breaking Zeus's law, killing people that entered his house, and letting his son become king while he rode off into the sunset to honor the people that he lost with his wife. Like that was good. They also did a very Oppenheimer-esque ending where they do when they're doing the flashbacks to the Trojan War and the sack of Troy, how Odysseus was kind of in horror, how his idea led to all this destruction, how he broke Zeus's law of being a courteous guest and not attacking those, being a courteous guest, not being honorable, and just like having there be structure that keeps civilization intact, and just throwing that all away to end the war, to go home after 10 long years. And what was really they say it's because of Helen and Paris stealing her, but like it was just Agamemnon's greed to control the Aegean Sea, and just seeing all the destruction that it caused, all the people that died, and then just saying that people won't learn from their history if it's all destroyed. and etc. Like how stories need to be passed down because people won't be able to read. How he thinks that what he's done will lead to the end of civilization, and then the music that's going on at the end with the Athena statue that was cut, and it's also led to an interesting aspect of, were the gods real in this film? They mention obviously Zeus and Poseidon, and Athena a bunch, but we only see Athena, and the only time we see Athena is only Odysseus that really sees her, because, and she's Zendaya. Zendaya is Athena, but during the flashbacks to the Trojan War, we see that Zendaya was a priestess in the Athenian temple in Troy, and she could just potentially be a representation of Odysseus's guilt for what he did in Troy. I personally still think that is Athena just using that form to remind him of what he did and how he dishonored her, even though he is one of her favored. But just the events of this movie, there's no way Matt Damon, that Odysseus, is just gonna float all the way to Ithaca without assistance from Zeus and the gods. But it's an interesting talking point. This movie was really good. When I try to think of flaws, it's really hard. I will just say it's not a perfect movie. It's not Nolan's best movie ever. So I have to rank it a 9, just because there's maybe things they could have done a little bit better. There's aspects of the movie that could have been a little bit better. And I didn't discuss all the aspects of this movie, maybe because I just didn't enjoy those parts as much. So I rank it a 9. It's 9 out of 10. It's a really good movie. It's probably my maybe 5th or 6th favorite Nolan film, which is really good. I haven't watched all of Nolan's films, but I'd say it's probably better than Dark Knight. It's definitely better than Dark Knight Rises. Might be better than Batman Begins. It's right. It's kind of like right with Oppenheimer for me. Like those two were really close. I would maybe put this over Oppenheimer just because I love Greek mythology so much and I know the story. I like the story of Odysseus really well. And then this is the movie that didn't come out in theaters. It is Avatar: Aang, The Last Airbender. I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Nickelodeon show that this movie is a sequel of. That show is one of the greatest shows of all time, probably the greatest animated show of all time, in my humble opinion. I watched it a month and a half ago now. It's so good. I still have a lot of things in my feed that are Avatar related that I watch all the time. It's such an amazing show. And I think, and after the there is no movie in Ba Sing Se, but there is a live action movie that is horrible. It's a horrible interpretation, one of the worst interpretations of all time. Screw you, M. Night Shyamalan, for that movie. You have other good ones I need to see, but not that one. I've also heard the live action Netflix show. It's better, but it's still not as good. It's not a good show. It's not Avatar, but I think this movie, and I have a friend who disagrees with me, I think this movie is Avatar. I think this movie captured the heart that Avatar: The Last Airbender is. I mean, I loved the relationship of the gang. They feel like a close-knit group of friends. They're like a family of Aang, Katara, Sokka, Toph, and Zuko. Probably should involve Suki in there, but that's just another topic for conversation. The animation of this movie is beautiful. It looks amazing. Like, seriously, it's so good. And not the animation of the original show is good too, but like that was that show finished in 2008. Animation has obviously improved since then. Dave Bautista did an amazing job as the antagonist, ancient air nomad Taga, in this film. He did such a good job. Dave Bautista yelling is really good. Like, I love his delivery when he's telling Aang, where were you when the Fire Nation attacked our people? You ran. I love his delivery of that. Dave Bautista is such a good actor. in terms of actual acting ability, he's probably the best wrestler turned actor, and I'm a big wrestling fan. All respect in the world to The Rock and John Cena, they're good as well, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like The Rock. I liked him, but all the most important thing is the characters felt like the grown up version of themselves, at least to a good degree. Like, obviously, there's maybe aspects of each character they could have done a little bit better. Like, they could have made Sokka maybe a little bit more intelligent in some aspects, though he did invent that flying bike that saved them at the end. So that's something. But yeah, Sokka's was obviously very humorous. He was awesome. Toph's just a little sassiness and cockiness was awesome. I'm still the greatest earthbender in the world. Because she is. She's amazing. She is the greatest earthbender in the world. And don't you do Dunderheads ever forget it. Katara's heart, like, Katara was the heart of this movie. Like, she carried this movie, really. Like, she literally split the sea. Oh my goodness. That is an Avatar level feat. She is such an amazing bender. She revived, granted, special water, but still, she revived the gang. Without her, everyone is dead. Everybody, they dead. Zuko's just seriousness and dedication was shown, and like he was dedicated to helping his friends. He was dedicated to preserving what he and Aang had built with Republic City, and he wanted to, when they were going to look for the staff that could give people the ability to airbend, that could help restore the Air Nation. Like, he was like, this could solve the greatest atrocity my people ever did. I need to help you do this. Aang's wisdom, just always wise beyond his years, thanks to the teachings of Monk Gyatso and the other air nomads. And yeah, Taga's motivation for wanting to take the staff and only to take down everybody but the Air Nation, seeing everyone as an enemy, is very understandable. He came from a time of war where the Air Nation was the only one that was really good, especially compared to the Earth Kingdom that was spreading and killed everybody. That he killed all of his friends. Like, I can see Aang having a similar mindset as Taga had he lived and had he not ran, and had he seen what the Fire Nation did, and had he survived and to live on and try to seek his revenge. Not that he didn't do that anyway when he saw what the Fire Nation did, but it's different when you actually see it. But Taga went too far. He betrayed Sonam and Aang, and tried to kill all of them and tried to destroy Republic City. Like, he lost his way. The fighting scenes are really cool. The bending looked awesome. I mean, Toph with the metal bending, Zuko with his fire. The fight between Taga and Aang, where Aang's obviously using all four elements, specifically air, earth, and a little fire. There wasn't much water at the end there, so we didn't do that too much, but that was neat. The spirit world scene were cool. They did get a little shot at Zutara shippers when it's like, oh, look, an old couple. Not a couple. But yeah, Katang. Let's go. Those scenes were really good, seeing their relationship blossom, because in the show, Aang was obviously in love with her the entire time. Like, you see a lot of that. You don't see too much of Katara returning it. You see just bits and pieces of it throughout, and then them getting together at the end of the show. But here you see how much Katara is really in love with Aang. I love to see it. And then at the end, when Aang has the staff, his power is boosted as well, just like Taga, and he is able, if he wants to use the staff, kill Taga, and succumb to the power of it, like Taga did. But Aang sees the Air Nation's flag symbol, and then he gets reminded of what his people stood for, what they wanted, and that's what gives him the idea of this staff is too powerful. No one should be able to wield this, so he destroys it. And they definitely could have gone the easy route of just having Katara or the gang be the ones that did that. But no, they had it be what Aang truly is, an air nomad and a monk that was raised by monks, to realize that, no, this is wrong. I should not do this. Especially considering this is the same Aang that almost refused to kill Fire Lord Ozai, who is way more evil than Taga is here. Here come a little bit of the criticisms now. The denied storyline, I did not care for it. Maybe it's because we stuck with Taga for the most part and focused on his story, which is the correct decision. That was the more interesting story. But this just group of non-benders who were trying to seek power at the end, like, and it kind of kickstarted the whole quest for the staff anyway. I didn't care. Like, there was nothing. I didn't connect with them. The one girl that kind of turned and kind of helped the gang out at the end, that was neat after she'd been turned because Aang saved her instead. But Aang should have been able to destroy these people pretty easily for the most part. He's the Avatar, for crying out loud. But yeah, the storyline, because of the focus on Taga, just didn't really feel complete and just wasn't really interesting. And yeah, apparently Iroh's still alive, so they probably should have had him in a couple scenes giving his ultra wisdom. Like, maybe just even a little bit like they did the Cabbage Merchant. My cabbages! Or Suki probably should have been involved as well. Like, I guess, and the creators discussed that was a difficult decision to make. So, but if they do more, I hope she's in future projects. That's the other thing. Do more. Make more movies. Maybe even make a movie that's for each member of the gang. Make a Zuko film. Make a Katara film. Make a Toph film. I would love it. That would be great. Make a Sokka film. Suki film. That'd be good. That'd be good. As long as it feels like the gang is the gang, and probably just continue using the same voice cast if you're gonna do the feature films. Because obviously, I would love if the original cast was doing this, but they just didn't feel like they did. I do like that they didn't just bring back like Dante Basco as Zuko and just kind of didn't use anyone else. But and they just kind of everybody's new. Also, Steven Yeun is a great actor. I love Invincible, so obviously when I saw that he was playing Zuko, I was pretty pumped. I was like excited for that. But yeah, also final thoughts on the film itself. I love that at the end, it seems like Aang gave Taga a sense of peace as they recited the whole air nomads are formed from the mist. We walk the world for a moment, then we return to the eternal wind as Taga returned to the spirit world and I guess died in peace. He was 5,000 years old and connected to the staff itself. I guess he just kind of went with it. I loved that. That was very good. I think a very fitting ending to Taga's story. Yeah, my ranking 8.5, right around the same spot. I probably like it more than Michael just because I love, even though I'm new to it, I love Avatar. I even remember like hearing about it when I was younger and liking the idea of being able to manipulate the four elements. I thought that was really cool. So I really like this film. I'm one of those people, and I'm new to the Avatar fandom, but I feel like I understand it pretty well. I'm a quick learner when it comes to fandoms and stuff, but I really like this movie. And then last, but certainly not least, Spider-Man Brand New Day, the box office attraction of the year, the movie that has made over $2 billion, and I believe it just passed The Force Awakens to become the 5th highest grossing film worldwide of all time. My thoughts on this movie? Amazing. Just right off the bat. It's an amazing Spider-Man film. But Tom Holland probably delivered the best performance I've seen from him, probably even better than he did in the Odyssey, which was probably the best performance I'd seen from him up to that point as well, because he just keeps getting better as an actor. He's just he's really good. And this was probably my favorite performance I've seen any Spider-Man actor give in any of the live-action movies. Toby and Andrew always did a tremendous job. Tom's always done a tremendous job up to now. But I loved his performance in this movie. It kind of makes me think this is similar to what an Andrew movie, where another Andrew movie happens, where after Gwen's death and you see him trying to move on, like Peter is kind of in this movie, where he's really lonely, where he's just hyper-focused on Spider-Man, and not letting Peter Parker live, which is the big problem in this movie, that he has to realize that just because he doesn't want to lose anyone, doesn't want to get hurt, he can't just be Spider-Man. He can't let himself have a life outside of being Spider-Man, because like it's unhealthy. It's unhealthy, man, and it causes problems. Like that's why those arachnid hormones like have to spike up. He's becoming Spider-Man, and while he's also trying to suppress, and it's also about trying to realize who you truly are as well. Like not trying to suppress any aspect of who you are. Like you are who you are. Embrace it. Use it. Like obviously when that stuff was going on, it was becoming like ultra aggressive and stuff, similar to a symbiote suit situation. When like with his fight with Scorpion, where he threw him into that police car and nearly killed that cop accidentally. But like then at the end, when he embraces it again with the I'm both scene of whether I'm Peter Parker, he's both Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and then he sends that hand person in what, if he just let them go, they would have been punctured by those broken bars and killed. He stops it, and then the black eyes go away, and it realizes he is Peter Parker, but with these new Spider-Man abilities like the organic webbing, extra strength, extra sensitive senses. John Bernthal and Tom Holland have tremendous chemistry together. I didn't mention in my review of the Odyssey, but their scenes in that were really good. Their scenes in this were even better. Just so good, so good. Their chemistry was really fun. Staten Island, I mean, they described it, but it's too hard because they described what happened, but it's just so hard to understand because they're talking over each other. But yeah, it definitely older brother, younger brother energy in that, or maybe it's like or just kind of like uncle nephew a little bit, probably too. Cinematography was amazing. This is arguably the best looking Spider-Man film, or at least close to it. It's the best looking Tom Holland Spider-Man film by far. I love the way some of it is shot, where you're kind of with Peter. Like a lot of Spider-Man movies, you can it's kind of like looking at it from a normal person's perspective. Spider-Man's upside down. He looks upside down. In this movie, a little bit, Spider-Man was upside down, but the rest of the world looked upside down because you were looking at it like you were Spider-Man. Amazing. And then when some of those swinging scenes where you're kind of like, it's as if you attached a GoPro to Spider-Man's head when he's going through the city. That's how good it looked. I loved it. The way the camera flipped in some instances in the movie. I just love the way this was shot. Like, the director did such an amazing job in this film. Suit looked great. It is arguably the best Spider-Man suit, up there with TASM 2 and the Raimi suits. Tom Holland and Zendaya's chemistry was probably the best it's ever been, which makes sense. Their relationship keeps going. They are married now. Tom Holland broke the Spider-Man curse. He actually married his co-star. But yeah, their chemistry was really good. Even though they weren't a couple in this movie, it was still really good. The opening montage with the villains was really fun. Just kind of get a quick recap of what Peter's been up to in just the last few years, and then paying homage to like classic comics with like Tarantula and carrying the guy like in the original Spider-Man comic book cover. The Yelena scene was funny, and it was fun to just kind of connect it to the other stuff going on, like in Thunderbolts and the New Avengers, and potentially up to Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't think Spider-Man will be in Doomsday. He will certainly be in Secret Wars, though. I also liked how it highlighted that Peter Parker is not allowing himself to be unmasked in front of anyone at this point. Like, he'll always keep it on with Punisher. He'll always keep it on with Damage Control, with Detective Wolf, and with Yelena, another fellow. And this is the MCU we're talking about. No one has a secret identity except Spider-Man. I think literally every other hero, everyone knows their name. Captain America, Steve Rogers. Oh, Iron Man, Tony Stark. Bruce Banner's the Hulk, and et cetera. Sadie Sink. Oh, shocker, she was Jean Grey. Who would have guessed that? Everyone. Which, that reveal that it was Jean Grey, maybe it's because they knew everyone would know, was kind of lackluster. That's kind of like one of my few complaints in this movie. that the reveal that it was Jean Grey wasn't as good because it's just that Tom Holland looks her up and online and stuff. I think it would have been better if they waited until it's the scene where she's broken into damage control headquarters with the Hulk trying to bust down the door, and he's like, the guys, who are you? She says, I'm Jean Grey. I think that would have been a much better like realization. Oh, it is Jean Grey. That's awesome. Even though, oh, redhead telepath. Who could it be? But no, Sadie Sink killed it. She did a great job. I'm really looking forward to seeing her in the X-Men film in a couple years now. I'm sure she'll do amazing at it. The scene where she's in the chair and she realizes that VMAX is just, she's been looking for it all movie. We don't know what VMAX is. We assume it's some prison where her sister's being held. It turns out it's just the vent sticker up above her. It's the last thing she ever saw. It was the last thought she ever had. And then, Sadie Sink's delivery of my sister died in this goddamn room was so good. I loved it. That was probably her best line delivery of this movie. Oh, the only thing about Jean Grey in this movie is that if it wasn't Jean Grey and if she wasn't played by Sadie Sink, she may be too evil. Because that scene because I mean, the tank kills people. She drove a tank through New York City and fired it a few times. That definitely, there were definitely casualties there. She had that guy just back up into oncoming traffic, got hit by a car. He might be alive, but he's hurt because he was an older man. Like, that hurt like hell. And then this rooftop scene where she lets Peter think that MJ remembers him, and then they kiss, and he's like so happy. And then the reveal, and I knew this was coming. Like, I'm like, that's not how it works. And I'm like, yeah, true love's kiss breaks a spell. Like, no, that's not how it works. And then, but that's messed up. He literally said it was unforgivable, but then he forgives her for it. But that's okay. But that's okay because that's Spider-Man. That's what Peter Parker would do. Peter Parker would do that. I mean, this guy in this last movie cured these villains. He didn't have too much personal connection with them, but then Toby and Andrew came, who did have the personal connection, who knew all the bad stuff they did, and they immediately started helping him too. The scene where MJ finds the letter and realizes the history that they have and that her memory's been erased was some of the best acting between the two of them. That was probably their best acted scene. That was probably Zendaya's best acted scene in this movie. Probably Tom's as well. And then the understandable but heartbreaking, I don't love you, I don't know you line from MJ was really heartbreaking. But then, because they kind of slammed the door on it, but then they cracked it back open. They had him take her home. She invited him upstairs to meet Ned. Ned and the three of them had a really nice scene, even though Peter had the mask on the whole time. And then Peter realizes that Jean had Jean's in trouble. Like, this, like, damage control is messed up, which obviously they are. They're a government agency. Shocker, they're the bad guys. And yeah, the build up to the Aunt May scene where they hinted at it, they showed part of it, and then when Peter lets Jean into his mind and she's able to see that Peter had this person that helped him out, who helped him realize that the world's going to hate you. The world's going to try to hurt you because you're special. But that doesn't mean you have to go into the darkness that the world has as well. You can be the light in the dark because you are special. And it just showed that Jean had been on her own too long and seen the world at its darkest when her sister was captured right in front of her because she was special, because she was different. And this what allowed her to help being a better person, which I'm sure there will be a journey we continue to see in the X-Men film, which maybe they made Jean do all the bad stuff of the tank, the taking control of people, controlling that kilometer radius of Manhattan, freezing them, which is scary as hell. and to make people fear mutants that are just like these people that are naturally born with these gifts, like Jean Grey, are dangerous. And yeah, Frank, after seeing the people getting control, he's like, "Oh yeah, this girl got to die." So then he shoots her. Then he shoots. And then Peter's able to take the bullet for her, and that's the moment where Jean really, truly is finally turning away from being the bad person she's been in this movie. When she saves Peter's life, she uses her powers to keep him to help him stay alive, even to the point where it seems like she's breathing for him in the hospital. Like that. That's what helps her overcome her trauma and darkness. But then, yeah, I was kind of worried that, because I heard rumors that since Peter Parker, I guess, dies in the original Secret Wars comic and the symbiote helps bring him back to life, when he got shot, I was a little bit worried he might die. But then once the shot of Frank bringing him to the hospital, I'm like, okay, he'll live. He'll be fine. And then, yeah, I need to watch all of the stuff with Punisher. I haven't seen the Punisher show. I've only seen season 2 of Daredevil. And then the one last kill thing. I need to watch all of that, because there's definitely a lot of character development for Frank that I need to see, that maybe is allowing him to be this like nice guy with Peter. And also maybe he's nicer to kids who are good people like Spider-Man. So he helps them out because he's only Frank to all these bad people that he's going to kill because they're bad people. And maybe he's cutting down a little bit on that as well. I also like the ending. Peter's realizing that I need to have a life. I need to be Peter Parker. I need to allow myself to be Peter Parker, so that when he sees Ned, he's like, "Hi, I'm Peter." And then he just kind of then I guess Ned's muscle memory helps come in a little bit, because, your body is trained to do that. So they did that handshake so many times in Homecoming, in Endgame, for crying out loud, in No Way Home, Far From Home, etc., that then he just kind of thinks about it for a moment. He's like, "Oh, he said his name was Peter. MJ called Spider-Man Peter. You're Spider-Man." That's what he said. He's not remembering Peter. That's not how the spell works. Jeez, people. But no, that's him realizing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and oh yeah, we're gonna be best friends. But yeah, I love the ending. I look forward to seeing more of Tom Holland, whether we eventually get him with a Miles Morales and handing the mantle over in a couple movies or two. But hey, as long as Tom Holland wants to be Spider-Man, he can be Spider-Man. He's my favorite Spider-Man. This movie solidified that more than anything. I love Tom Holland Spider-Man so much.
Hey, editing Blake here. Apparently, I did not discuss the Hulk during this, which is egregious, because the Hulk is one of the best parts of this movie. I love that we have Rachel's back. I was geeking out when I saw this in the theaters, but oh my gosh, he's so big. I love that fight. That fight was awesome. It was really cool. The fact that Jean couldn't control Angry Hulk. Oh, the no banner, no girl, only Hulk line. So freaking good. So I'm adding this in because I cannot have this video without talking about the Hulk.
Ranking for this movie, the highest on here, 9.5 out of 10. It is so good. I don't know if it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, because there's so many good ones that it's tough. No Way Home, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, A Brand New Day. I think at least for the live action ones, I think Across and Into are probably the two best Spider-Man movies, period. But for live action, it's just so close to call. Thank you for listening to me talk about 6 movies that I saw this summer, a few that just really were very important for me, like Spider-Man Brand New Day, that I've been looking forward to for a while. If you saw any movies this summer or have any thoughts on these movies, please leave them in the comments below. Please listen to Yoda and subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Also like the video, please. I love seeing likes. Share this. I'd love to boost up my views a little bit if I could. 100 views is a really good video for me. I'd like to start hoping to make the goal of 150 and so on. But hey, that's only if you like it. Please. That's only if you like it. Please come back for more. See you around.